Hola, dear brothers and sisters. Darren Astanal here, doing another Wisdom Warrior transmission. It's been a while since I've checked in, um, but I feel the inspiration just to share some words today for anyone who cares to listen. And the topic I wanted to just talk about is embracing the mystery of our times. We are in it right now in such an intensity of transformation and unknowing. Social media and such, all the places that we're trying to get information and news, it just seems increasingly like a chaos of meaning, a true quagmire of so many different perspectives, and people are getting increasingly hostile towards one another, and the monolithic powers are getting increasingly hostile towards misinformation and anything that is kind of outside of the box of status quo. And I feel the word that really is precise is really it's chaos. And I think that's very scary for a lot of us, but I think on one hand the reason that this chaos is really fomenting is because we're really witnessing the crumbling of an old world order. We're witnessing the falling apart of a mode of civilization that wasn't working in the first place. And I find it ironic that some of the indigenous elders are saying that this pandemic, which has caused such a sacred pause, is just that. It's a sacred pause, that it is actually the answers to our prayers. Just months ago, we were all sort of beating the war drums of the environmental crisis, trying haplessly to get our would-be leaders to listen and to enact actual desperate change in the world. And then the irony of a pandemic that is hurting the human species, suddenly everyone is mobilized. Whereas previous to this, the pandemics were rife within Mother Earth, whether it be forest fires or just the ecocide of an unimaginable plethora of human species, or of non-human species of life, creatures of the earth, due to the way that we've been living in this malevolent system, this patriarchal hubris of domination. But the minute the knife was taken to our throats, all of a sudden we wake up. And I think that's a bit of a startling revelation that we need to contemplate and we need to sit with. Because I think part of this mystery is also that it's creating a space. This mystery is creating a space for us to recognize that there's an other existing with us in this human experience that we've forgotten. Because we live in these cities, these closed worlds, that have encapsulated our lives in these hardened sense of the human ego. But the other is nature, or more specifically Mother Earth. And she is a part of this as well. A lot of the indigenous elders have said that the sickness that we're feeling is a sickness symbiotically that Mother Earth is also feeling. And that this is a time for us to take a sacred pause and to consider her very, very deeply, and to consider what beliefs and values have been established and cultivated over millennia that have made us such an insane species that we would destroy our own home planet, and moreover destroy our mother. And that is a knowing that we have forgotten as a species, that the earth is in fact our mother. She gave birth to the human species. She designed us. This is what the ancients say. And this is what we need to collectively realize right now. And we need to allow this mystery to wash over our lives. We need to surrender to it and appreciate that some of the indigenous peoples of Turtle Island have called Creator, the great creative matrix of this whole universe, the Great Mystery. And mystery was something that was embraced by a lot of our Western ancestors as well. In fact, there's legends that at the famous Arthurian night, or the round table, the knights would leave a 13th chair unoccupied for mystery. We've made ourselves indoctrinated in this kind of dogmatism of always wanting to know, of always wanting to be certain, of always wanting to have predictability and qualitative results. We're living in a reckoning as well with the distortions within science, something that I've been writing and sharing about on Facebook quite a while, and I hope the nuances are can see that I'm not some anti-science right-wing extremist, that this is something that I've been studying since my years in academia, studying the distortions that have happened within the science that we call empirical materialist science, which rules the Western world like a religion. And that's part of the chaos and the confusion right now, is that it can't figure things out either. It can't figure out what this virus is doing, where it's going. And then we're hearing rollouts of mandatory vaccines and surveillance states. This is all a kind of endgame of control and the wet dream of a lot of this science that we've been told is the supreme way of knowing about our world. That's why I've been referencing the great work of the late David F. Noble, someone whose work came to me at university, The Religion of Technology, and a new book that I'm reading of his right now, and why I made that provocative statement yesterday that AI is the pinnacle of misogyny. Just to take that a little further, because people were asking for elaborations, if you study science and you study the belief systems that have come to be modern science, you will realize that there was transference of trauma from the vestiges of the Christian religion, from religiosity, from the church fathers who hated nature, who hated women. And this wasn't something that started from the get-go. This was over a long period of time. Just look at the manuals of the Inquisition when they were going around killing millions of witches. There was a true hatred of the flesh, of sexuality, and those who opposed that doctrine were ruthlessly exterminated. And this led to technological advancements in science inevitably being possessed by this rhetoric, by this mindset. And now we find ourselves with the idea of an AI, a transhumanist ideal of a kind of machine human that can take us to a whole new realm of supremacy, of beauty, a human that is supremely rational, supremely mechanical. And I think this is a bit of a horror show, to be honest. I think this is kind of like the paramount of patriarchy, realizing that science has always been more of a male-dominated view, and not just male, because there's something beautiful about masculinity, but a very traumatized masculine view of things. And my challenge to AI is, why do we want to transcend the human condition? We have to ask ourselves, what wound has been put in place in our belief systems to make us think that the human condition is some kind of original blemish, original sin? It's right there in the doctrine of the church fathers. This is a kind of mind virus that has gripped some of the elites and is marshaling so many resources towards creating this fantasy of correcting and perfecting the human condition. But what if we were an original blessing? What if we lost a huge part of our understanding of the blessing and the beauty of our humanity? What did we lose when her story became persecuted and exterminated and his story reigned? What about the tales of the goddess? What about the tales of the ancient view of Mother Earth, Sophia, from the Indo-European mystery schools that brought forth great gnosis? What about their acknowledgement that we were children of a great goddess, that we were made and crafted with beautiful divine intention and design? What about the design sheerly of nature and how advanced and powerful it is? I dare say that I believe science has grown arrogant, and if you study science, you will see that there is this antipathy towards nature, this misinformation about the wonders and the beauty of nature, a science that has been divorced from the wise women traditions, divorced from intuition, spirituality, sacredness, metaphysics in general, the mysticism of our world. This is a huge, huge problem, and this is something that I'll be taking into my Gaia Awakening page, which I'll be launching very soon on Facebook, where I'll be talking more about this, about what the Gnostics said is the need to correct these great errors in our human consciousness, what they called literally mind viruses. And this gets really deep, and it's going to take our collective imagining to expand itself, to start to acknowledge what the indigenous people, what the ancients, our ancient ancestors have been saying for eons, and that is that we have been intruded upon by non-human entities, by what the ancient Gnostics called archons. And this is not to fill anyone with fear, not to be subjugated into some kind of astral tyranny for all eternity. Humanity is actually profoundly powerful, and it is our destiny to overcome this non-physical, interdimensional intrusion upon us that has caused a lot of distortions in our consciousness. And you see this in all the ancient spiritual traditions. They understood this, they discussed this adversary in our midst. And one of the great tricks that the devil has ever played on us is convincing us that it does not exist. And thus we've been highly vulnerable to error, to deception. There's many threads that I'll be sharing on this moving forward on my Gaia Awakening page. This is a huge bastion of knowledge that has been left out from the mainstream for far too long. And it's time that we bring all hands on deck. It's time that we examine our belief systems and embrace this mystery and realize that we're in a greater sense of unknowing than we were before. And I dare say there's also something so beautiful about the mystery, isn't there? Isn't there something so beautiful that all of our schedules have fallen away, that our priorities are suddenly very different, that everything has shifted, that we find our days all of a sudden filled with a kind of liminal space where the clock is no longer such a tyrant, where we can simply rest and allow our days to spill on into meditations and revelations and connecting to friends and loving and not having to be jostled constantly in the occupation to do. We are in a holy, sacred pause where we're being asked to be. And I know there are many different strata of experience of this. I know money is hard for a lot of people right now, so I'm not trying to downplay that. There's different echelons of privilege, and all of that is being highlighted too. And we need to let love rule right now more than ever. If we are truly going to welcome Gaia, Earth, back in our midst, I believe the first ecological principle that we need to re-assimilate that we've betrayed is interdependence, that we are all cooperating together in this life. And that means right now we need to reach out to those people in need, who need help, and we need to help them. There are people in this world who have unprecedented levels of money, and when I see all these businesses closing and all these people going through misfortune, I wonder, why are these people not sharing their wealth at this great time of need? What a beautiful time it would be if we use this adversity to really share and participate in a collective Thanksgiving exercise, as the Native Americans so beautifully do whenever they come into abundance. So much to learn. There's such a tabula rasa right now, a blank slate that's being cleared, and we're being invited to create a whole new meaning. As I've liked to quip, the meaning of life is a meaning. We are meaning animals. We need mythologies, we need guiding narratives, we need stories to collectively rally us into transpersonal purpose, to unify us. And the stories that our culture has been telling us are tired, antiquated, and frankly just boring. We need to re-enchant our world, and I bestow that challenge on all of us to take part in this great revival of the wisdom of the ages, and together forge a new meaning for this world. If I can add one precise detail, it would be to invite Gaia, invite the earth into your daily practices, invite her into your life, in your meditations, call on her presence, for the prophecies have foretold that she is awakening too, and perhaps our awakening is directly involved with her because of symbiosis, because we are her kin and her nature is ours. Where she moves, we move. I invite you to bring her into your life. I'll be launching the Gaia Awakening initiative very soon on Facebook, so look out for that. It's going to be a very exciting invitation to collectively elaborate this represencing of Earth in our lives and restoring the wisdom of the ages, particularly the eco-spiritual wisdom of Mama Gaia, and collectively forging a sense of unity together moving forward, where we can create a new culture where indigenous leaders will reign and indigenous will reign, as well as we all realize we're indigenous as children of the earth, children of the universe. Love you all. Look out for Gaia Awakening. It's coming at you. And if you haven't listened to my song, Oh My God, listen. It's a beautiful anthem for the new world. Be glorious. Much love. Stay sacred.